I didn't have a feeling that would happen. I thought we would have a better response tonight. I thought we would come out and understand that Alabama Huntsville's it's not an exhibition game. They're here to play and try to win a league game. And so our hope was, and we said it last night, that we would learn our lesson in a victory and come back out and and we scored first, and we weren't bad, but we weren't sharp. We were just a little kind of sort of in it, and they played much better tonight. They gave themselves opportunities, but we weren't thinking about, all right, we didn't think we'd win by 9 goals or whatever the case is, 6 goals, but we certainly felt like it was going to be they would play harder in a better game, and they did. But it's one of those things. We wish we had the answer to why. It's really tough to win, and I don't want to sound. I try not to sound cliche, but it's just there's a lot of parity in college hockey, and everybody is it's rare that teams don't try. I can't think of a team that we've played, or at least in our league, that doesn't come out and try all the time. Sometimes you don't get bounces, sometimes your goaltender doesn't play great, or sometimes things happen, but everybody works, and we didn't expect Huntsville not to work for sure.
I thought you guys came out, especially in the first 15 minutes, and had a lot of energy. Maybe like the technical hockey wasn't necessarily there, so you weren't necessarily getting rewarded. But you brought the energy, and for you to not get rewarded and hang on all the way to double overtime, what does that kind of say about the way you guys were able to fight and not?
Yeah, I told our guys I think we're disappointed not because we think we're better than a tie, but I think the standard is pretty high, and the standard is the standard that the players have set. When you play like we've played at times this year, against some really, really good teams, and you have success, that's ultimately where we want to get to, and stay there all the time. So if we can get to the point where, regardless of who we're playing, we're the same, night in and night out, Bowling Green's the same. But our guys we didn't not play hard. We just were. We didn't have enough guys really, really sharp and going, and it's one of those games. It's funny when we score first and we had opportunities, but it wasn't great. And then we didn't get any power plays early, and we killed a couple penalties, and we started the second period killing a penalty. So those are just things that kind of sort of, they don't seem like huge deals, but they impact the entirety of the game.
Is it kind of maybe a little frustrating when you're limiting them to under 20 shots or so again tonight, and again you're kind of just you keep firing into that, and then at the same time you're kind of maybe anticipating that wall to break again, but tonight if it doesn't go your way, you're just kind of left wondering if you had the second opportunities whether or not it would have been a different outcome.
Yeah, their goalie came back after a tough night last night, and he did a nice job. We hit Cameron Wright hit the post in the third, which I don't recall us having all these just coming back to the bench with their hands on our head, thinking how did we not score? I mean, we had a lot of shots on him, but I don't think we didn't make it real difficult for him. I don't think, in terms of last night in the third was really difficult for them. So yeah, we got opportunities, and maybe we've got to do a better job of figuring out, like, it's not always going to be easy. And we tried to talk to our guys about what we need to do to score, and they defended a little differently tonight. They tried to take away some of our things that we had success at last night, and so we had to kind of adjust. And we did a couple things here and there with the puck, because somebody mentioned, we were talking between periods, when you have, it seemed like at times our guys had a little bit more time with the puck, right? So they got the puck on their stick. So we want to try to play fast and move it, but it's different when you have and you have a little bit more time. And the tendency is to skate with it. And when we don't really want to skate with it, we want to move it and get to the next, play fast, So it just takes some adjusting. And again, if I had the answer on why, we don't, or this team in particular, or how you get 18 to 23-year-old kids to be on point all the time, I would tell them, that's for sure. But again, I think it has to do with Huntsville. They came back, and they would have been really easy for them after giving up the first goal to not be interested, but they were interested all night, and they played hard.
How'd you think Zach played
I thought he did a good job. He had to make some difficult saves. Um, he made the breakaway save there late, like I already mentioned. A couple saves coming across, and it wasn't a whole hum night for him. It seems like the one thing we've got to do a better job of is we don't give teams a bunch, but it seems like at least this weekend some of the things that we gave them, or some of the things that ended up were plays that ended up in the back of our net, were 100% controllable on our end. I think about the first goal was similar to the first goal last night. It's a puck that comes in our own end, and we have possession of the puck. We're going to get to that puck first in our own end, and what we want to do is exchange it with our partner, and we make a poor exchange. And then we don't make a good play when we get to the next puck, and now we're running, and next thing you know, there's a guy in front. And then the second goal, we won the face-off in the neutral zone, and it ends up in the back of our net within 5 seconds. That's not, if a team's better or they beat you or they go tic-tac-toe around the horn on the power play, you got to tip your hat. But those are like that can't happen. And back to Zach, I thought Zach made a couple good saves on the power play too. They zipped a puck through the seam there in the third, and the guy took a one-timer. It was a real good save. So I'm real happy for Zach. And he made a really good play there at the end. I was telling him not to move it all the way up to Max and screaming from the bench, and Coach Carr said, "What did you tell him to do again?" So he made a great play, and we're onside, and Max finishes it. So credit to Zach he had a huge hand in getting us the extra point.
Those plays you just described, Coach, would you describe that as effort play on your part, or concentration play on your part?
Yeah, I mean, we just, I think we thought, we talked about it after the second. We were trying a lot of long passes, which it's not typically our game. Now, there's times when, we've sent some guys in on breakaways and made some play. We want to do that. There's a time for that, but it's not when the puck, when we're in the O-zone and it gets dumped out and we're in our what we call neutral zone transition, we want our guys to come back and support it and come back together. And we're kind of hanging out waiting, and that kind of plays into what Alabama Huntsville is doing. So now they're right next to us, and we can't generate any speed. We don't have possession of it, and it's just kind of, it's like that old video game. Clint and I remember, we're the only old ones in here. The Pong video game, where just go boom, boom, back and forth. So we tried to get our guys to come back and be, play together and do our stuff, because there were times when we were playing our way, and we were playing really good, and we had some good chances. I think Max Johnson had a really good chance in the third in the slot. Kid made a really good save, and so.
Is the mood in the locker room like you guys took a hit here, or is it consistent?
We certainly didn't win, right? So it's a tie in the books, and we got an extra point for league standings, but we didn't win the game. So I don't know how we, as a group, can't be disappointed, when we, play it. Anytime you don't win, you should be disappointed, regardless of who you're playing. So the mood wasn't we didn't win. I heard more than one player as they came in the locker room, it's not a win. We got an extra point, and we should feel good about that, because every point's going to matter come end of the year. But I think the mood was one of, a little bit disappointed and frustrated that an opportunity slipped away. And that's what we try to talk about that a lot is, every time you come to practice is an opportunity. Every time you go to the weight room is an opportunity in terms of hockey. And then you get to play the games on Friday and Saturday. So individually, it's your opportunity to, like we've talked about, show us you're part of helping us win games. And then collectively, we get an opportunity to play as a team against somebody else, which is what it's all about. And we probably let an opportunity slip away in terms of the winning and losing.
Are series like this, Coach, that we've talked about before, against teams that are struggling, like the Alabama Huntsville, throughout the league, throughout your league schedule, are these really no-win situations for you and your program? Because if you win, you're supposed to. If you don't, God forbid, you pay the price of pairwise forever.
Yeah, I don't think they're no-win, because we're certainly not to the point where we're above. We'll take any win we can get. But I do think that, personally, full disclosure, these series, I'm more nervous inside about these games than I am. We know our team. You guys have, over the last, since we've, developed into a 20-win, regular 20-win regular seasons and NCAA tournament teams and stuff like that. I can't remember a time, and maybe you guys can correct me, if when we've laid an egg against a really good team. Like we typically come out and play really, really hard. So that's and then there's games where on paper maybe we're the better team, or the standings show at this point that you're supposed to win, and for whatever reason it's difficult. I think that has to do with our team, it has to do with the other team, and so I don't think it's a no-win, but I think personally I'm a little bit more apprehensive, and you grind on it, because even last night, we scored 9 goals and a bunch of guys got on the score sheet. There's guys that left the rink not feeling great because they didn't score. And so how many goals is enough? And knowing that you don't score 9 very often. So, if you score 3, 4, 5, that's a good night. And so I wouldn't say it's no win, but it's certainly, we don't have a real big margin for error in terms of some of our regular season games. That's just the reality in terms of the big picture.